Part 30. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 291. Chapter 291, Clearing the Place. Someone else said, "You can't get back together after a breakup?" I think it's Boss Lee who is chasing her. It's not like the rumors outside that she was abandoned after she tried her best to marry into a rich family but was found out. This circle is full of truth and lies, and the credibility of the rumors is a mystery. Now, after seeing Li Lei's diligent appearance with their own eyes, many people feel that it is indeed Big Boss Li who is chasing Ye Xingling again. What a happy girl many people present have been in the entertainment industry for many years. They all understand that with Li Lei's current status, it is easy for him to send flowers or even a mansion or a diamond ring. However, his people showed up here and made lunches with their own hands and delivered them. That was the real difficulty. I see Ye Xingling marrying into a rich family, it's going to be great. A group of staff members were gossiping while eating lunch boxes. I can't even stop your mouth with a chicken drumstick, another staff member laughed. I think it's funny, she is such a good girl, it would be a pity if she doesn't get perfect love. These staff are different from the general public in that they deal with all kinds of celebrities every day, and the celebrities do not hide their true nature in front of them. Some celebrities smile sweetly in front of their fans, but are extremely harsh on their staff behind their backs. And some celebrities are completely criticized in the media, but they treat others in private but are low-key and kind. In their eyes, Xiaoling is obviously closer to the latter. She was very professional during the filming. Almost all the shots were taken in one shot, and she never lost her temper or disobeyed the instructions for no reason. Although she doesn't deliberately greet the staff with a smile, nor does she deliberately say that everyone has worked hard, it is really easy to follow her when filming. If you do your job well, you can call it a day easily. The staff have a good impression of such celebrities. "I just met a reporter outside," a staff member said while eating a box lunch. "He asked me what Boss Lee came to the set for, and whether he and Ye Xingling were still in love. I said, Boss Lee was obsessed with Ye Xingling. Aya is very good." Yes, all the staff nodded while eating. What do those reporters mean by blackmailing Ye Xingling every day? It's time for someone to stand up and speak out. If another reporter asks, we all say they are fine. Ye Xingling is a good person, she definitely doesn't look like the kind of person who would do whatever it takes to marry into a wealthy family and be abandoned. A group of people responded. This is the necessity to gain goodwill. Xiaoling has won the goodwill of the staff present because of her high professional level, one-time filming, and no trouble. Then when facing outside reporters, they will defend her. The human heart is made of flesh, and respect is mutual. In the trailer, Xiaoling was full of happiness as she ate with Li Lei. Today, he brought delicious beef ribs and stir-fried vegetables. With moderate heat and ingredients, the taste was no less than that of a top chef. "What are you thinking about?" Li Lei noticed that her eyes were in a trance while eating. "If you don't start a company one day, how about you come to my house to be a cook?" Xiaoling often forgets to take her IQ when she goes out, especially when she is angry. Whatever is on her mind, she says it out loud. "I can move into your house now and be your cook for the rest of my life." Li Lei looked at her with a smile, hoping to settle the matter quickly while she was unconscious. Unexpectedly, classmate Xiaoling came back to her senses. "It's a beautiful idea," she ate the cowboy ribs in small bites. "The salary is too expensive, I can't afford to hire you." "I don't want a salary." "Then what do you want?" "Food and shelter included." Li Lei's eyes were bright. "Sleep together." The last three words were as lingering as a whisper. Xiaoling was unprepared and bit her chopsticks with her teeth, which almost made her cry. Ahem. She choked and took a breath before she had time to accuse, "Can you please have some face? Mao Duan's Cathus is for you to sleep in." Okay, he was still smiling, and his tone was so gentle that it could melt into water. Xiaoling couldn't say anything anymore. No wonder everyone said that people are shameless and invincible. Just listen to Boss Li say, I heard from Luoluo that when the weather is cold, the hairy dumplings will crawl into your bed. Xiaoling, you can't favor one thing over another. Climbing into bed? The furball in her house not only crawls on the bed, but also likes nothing more than sleeping in her arms. Classmate Xiaoling couldn't help but imagine Big Boss Li sleeping in her arms with a satisfied look on his face. Hold on, stop. Inevitably, she blushed. The air is filled with ambiguity. With a smile on his eyes and brows, Li stretched out his hand to wipe a small grain of rice from the corner of her lips, and then licked it into his mouth. Xiaoling stared at him, her face red to the top of her ears, like a cooked lobster. The trailer door was opened. Lin Yunan looked at the scene inside, still making a sound from his nose that was either a snort or a laugh. Hey, it seems that I came at the wrong time. Li turned his head and looked at the man who was blaspheming the scenery, silently wondering whether he should stew him plainly or braise him in brown sauce. Lin Yunan walked in swaggeringly and sat down in front of the two of them. I have something serious to say. What? Ming and Li did nothing, but Xiaoling still felt embarrassed when someone caught her. She asked, trying to calm herself down. Lin Yunan glanced at Li. Are you clearing the place? If we want to be cleared, we should also clear you out. Li gritted his teeth with a smile. This Lin Yunan really regards himself as a person. He dared to disturb me when I was having dinner with Xiaoling. Now they are blatantly chasing people away. Li felt that it was time to contact the family headquarters and ask if there was any shortage of human organs recently. Lin Yunan was not moved by his anger at all. He is from Tianyi, doesn't he need to avoid it? This sentence was said to Xiaoling. Xiaoling is now an artist under Dongyu culture. In theory, she is in competition with Tianyi. If Big Boss Li was conscious, he should have avoided it long ago. How can there be such unconscious people in this world? Lin Yunan doesn't know anyone who sells human body organs. Otherwise, he would probably have the same plan as Li. The two men stared at Xiaoling. Xiaoling felt uncomfortable being looked at. She didn't know where the charming thoughts she had just been thrown into. She put down her half-eaten lunch, sighed, and said to Lin Yunan, as long as it doesn't involve the level of secrets like if you tell me, Dongyu will go bankrupt, you can just tell him. He will always find out anyway. She didn't want to go back and be questioned by Li again and have to repeat it again, which would be troublesome. Why not just listen together? As soon as he finished speaking, Li gave Lin Yunan a victorious smile from an angle that Xiaoling couldn't see. Lin Yunan finally resisted the urge to stand up and beat him. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 292. Chapter 292 A Wonderful Adventure. After taking a sip of water to calm down, Lin Yunan said, I plan to give you a variety show. Variety show? Xiaoling asked, what kind? In her 2 lifetimes, apart from talk shows, the only variety show she has participated in is the Xingyun Song Festival. In this kind of PK-type program, she can shine. As for the others, in his previous life, Pei Xian said that his style was too low and he would not consider it. Lin Yunan said, a wonderful adventure. She looked at him in confusion, and Li also looked at him in confusion. Lin Yunan wanted to flip the table again. No way, you haven't heard of the famous bizarre adventure. Lin Yunan is going crazy. Is it because he has left the entertainment industry for 7 years, or because the 2 people in front of him have left? 7 years? What kind of people are Tianyi people like? He decided that if he had the opportunity to bring artists again in the future, he would definitely not bring anyone from Tianyi. From the boss to the singer, they are all ignorant. So ignorant. Xiaoling was very innocent and whispered, I never watch variety shows. Then what do you usually do? Lin Yunan roared. Singing and listening to songs, classmate Xia Xiaoling counted on her fingers. I have been practicing pharyngeal tone recently. You know, this alone takes up most of my time. Pharyngeal tone is a singing skill. Through practice, can make people's vocal range reach higher heights. In her previous life, Xiaoling was gifted and used to singing dolphin sounds. When she composed the song Stray Cat some time ago, she found that she was not comfortable no matter how she wrote it. The reason was that the range she expressed in the score had a lot of high notes. Now, she couldn't sing. Dolphin sound is a rare talent. She was lucky enough to be born with it in her previous life. However, I have no such good luck in this life. I am born with deficiencies that must be made up for by the day after tomorrow. I cannot sing the dolphin sound, so I have to work hard to learn the throat sounds. Turning away her thoughts, she thought about how she felt that one of the resonance chambers was opened in the wrong way when she was singing continuously this morning. Would it be better if it was changed to another way? Lin Yunan called her several times. I'm talking to you. Are you listening? He came up to Xiaoling and yelled at her. Li Lei waved his hand and pushed him away, warning, don't yell at Xiaoling. Lin Yunan. Times have changed for Genima. If this were 7 years ago, who would have dared to be disrespectful to his ace agent? A suitor of one of his artists? If you offend him, just wait for the artist to be hidden, banned, and seek death. This movement finally brought Xiaoling back to her senses. Xiaoling blinked. Where were you talking? Then she looked at Lin Yunan strangely. Why are you sitting on the ground? Lin Yunan got up from the ground with a cold face. Do you still want me to introduce you to the wonderful adventure? Yes, Xiaoling was a little confused. I have to find out what the situation is and then decide whether to accept it or not. If you get distracted again, Lin Yunan said expressionlessly, I will reject this variety show anyway. If she is not interested, the effect of the filming will not be good, and it will have a negative impact in vain. What's more, it's time to teach this girl some rules. She and a certain big boss who is pursuing her are both too arrogant and arrogant. Xiaoling then corrected her attitude. After getting along with each other for this period of time, she has great trust in Lin Yunan's professional level, which is by no means inferior to Chu Chen and sister Mai Na. Since it was the project he got in front of her, it must have value. Lin Yunan was satisfied when he saw her serious expression. Ignoring a certain big boss who was getting in the way, he said, this is Pearl TV's flagship variety show that just launched last year. Bizarre Adventure, as the name suggests, is about going on adventures to some wonderful places or doing some wonderful things. This program it is broadcast once a week for 12 weeks, that is, one season is 3 months. Each season will invite high-profile celebrities to participate. For example, the summer episode that was aired not long ago invited rock star Zhou Xiaolong, and just now, actress Louise Chen, who was nominated for the Cannes Film Festival, and countless other popular stars. Xiaoling nodded. Then she would understand why Lin Yunan planned to take over this variety show for her. In her previous life, Pei Xian's reason for not letting her appear in variety shows was that he was afraid of downgrading her style, because the participants invited to variety shows were usually not too high class. She, Xiaoling, appeared at an awards ceremony where celebrities gathered, and they complimented each other. She appeared in a group of second and third tier stars and performed on the same stage, which was called a price drop. In this wonderful adventure, at least the names Lin Yunan reported are qualified to meet and talk with her in the previous life at an award ceremony or a celebrity dinner. With her status in this life, performing with them on the same stage is a high achievement for her. Li Lei also became interested and asked, who is there this season? Lin Yunan glared at him coldly, don't interfere in Dongyu's affairs. That's my girlfriend's business. Who is your girlfriend? Even Xiaoling glared at him this time. Xiaoling. Li Lei began to feel aggrieved, blinking his eyes. preparing to act cute and coquettish. If you keep making noise, I'll throw you out. Xiaoling was as fierce as a puppy. So, Big Boss Li shut up in a grieved manner. Lin Yunan watched their interaction coldly from the side, and suddenly said, "When are you going to get back together?" Ah! Ah! This time, both of them were stunned. "You guys are so stupid, you look like a couple," Lin Yunan said expressionlessly. So Li Lei smiled happily, ignored the silly word, and decided not to sell him into human body organs for the time being. Xiaoling was very unhappy. "Who said that? I don't want to get back together with him. I haven't even considered it." Given that when a woman says she doesn't want to, she's usually saying she wants to, Lin Yunan took out his notebook, lowered his head and started to write down records again. "Li Lei, it's safer for you to answer this question. Are there any plans to get back together or make the relationship public again?" Li Lei's expression became more serious. "I will marry Xiaoling." Under this general premise, Xiaoling's opinion will be respected in everything. If she wants it to be made public, she will make it public. If she doesn't want it to be made public, it will not be made public. After the breakup, Li Lei also reflected on himself. It was indeed because he was too eager and disclosed his love affair to the media regardless of her wishes, which led to so many unfavorable rumors about her. It also made her unable to feel that she was respected. Perhaps this is why Xiaoling feels insecure and wants to escape his control and become independent. Li Lei's eyes darkened slightly. This time, he would be more careful to protect her. Hearing what he said, Xiaoling took another look at him. Lin Yunan caught a glimpse of her eyes and made another laugh-like snort from his nose, admitted, "You have feelings for him. I am not a paparazzi, and I have no interest in the love between you. The only thing I care about is, what kind of changes will your relationship bring to your future?" By the way, the theme of this season of fantastic adventures we are about to take on is speed dating between men and women. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 293. Chapter 293 The Male God Season. Speed dating between men and women, Li Lei and Xiaoling said in unison. However, Xiaoling's voice was pure surprise, while Li Lei's voice was a bit wary. "You can't let Xiaoling participate in this kind of program," he was the first to object. "What a joke. How could his precious Xiaoling be rumored to have an affair with another man?" Lin Yunan said, "That's why Xiaoling left Tianyi." It must be said that this big manager is extremely observant and hits the nail on the head when he opens his mouth. If Li Lei hadn't been so arbitrary, would Xiaoling have left? Li Lei felt that he and Lin Yunan must be at odds with each other. Really? Over there, Xiaoling was impatient to listen to the quarrel between them and said, "Why do you want me to participate in speed dating between men and women?" Lin Yunan also ignored a certain plaintive boss and began to explain his reasons. "In the past year since your debut, your singing quality has been unanimously praised by public opinion, and your reputation among the public is very good. Even the most professional music critics, it's hard to find anything wrong. However, if you want to be a queen, it's not enough to have extremely high singing skills. Your overall image must be perfect." He paused and gave the big boss beside him a look of disdain. "Some time ago, the rumors of your breakup with Li Lei did a lot of harm to your image. Although Tianyi did a lot of public relations to restore it when you left Tianyi, the direction of public opinion is gradually moving in your favor. However, matters related to love must be resolved in love. 1001 public relations people who say that you are dedicated and have good character are not as convincing as a relationship force. So, you want me to participate in speed dating between men and women?" Xiaoling finally caught up with his train of thought. "Yes, Lin Yunan said, before that, I want to confirm that there are no plans to get back together between you and Li Lei, at least not in the next 8 months. 8 months so long, Li Lei went crazy. No, I mean, Xiaoling will not participate in speed dating between men and women. It is very easy to have a perfect relationship, and the news of our reunion can be released now. Lin Yunan was looking at him with a look like, how did you become the big boss if you are so naive? Although Xiaoling has no plans to get back together in the short term, she is also curious about Lin Yunan's thinking. Yes, why can't we just get back together instead of going far away to engage in speed dating? Even if ordinary viewers don't know, but those who are involved in the entertainment industry, everyone knows very well that 99% of speed dating programs like this are fake. The so-called on-screen couples are often just topics hyped up by producers and agencies. How can it be compared to her and Li Lei? There is no need to pretend. Is it the real thing? Lin Yunan had an expression on her face that said, I won't care about your low IQ. He forced himself to explain to her, if an actress like you is from a commoner background and has an affair with a wealthy boss, the public will instinctively imagine a lot of things. It was an unbearable thing. If a good public relations team had handled the incident well at the beginning, it could have been turned into a fairy tale of a prince and Cinderella. However, your love affair has gotten out of control. You announced that you were together, you were kicked out of a wealthy family on New Year's Eve, you broke up in a high-profile manner. After experiencing this series of farce, what do you think the public will think if you announce your reunion in just a few months? Believe me, what I can think of is definitely not that your relationship is not easy, but what method did Ye Xingling use to charm the big boss? Or maybe it was Li Lei who made some secret deal to lure her back into your arms. After all, the fact that your family doesn't approve of her is so impressive that everyone thinks it's impossible to be together. Even if we are together, it's just a casual marriage. I am serious about Xiaoling. Li Lei raised his head and his voice was deep. Lin Yunan snorted coldly, it's useless to tell me. The key is that the public doesn't believe it. Okay. Li Lei, what you did before has seriously damaged Xiaoling's image in the public mind. I mean in terms of female charm, an actress who only had one short-term relationship that ended in embarrassment, and who has not had any scandals other than that, is not an attractive actress. So what if you sing well, Xiaoling? No one will be attracted to you. You can't become a legend or a queen. The truth is that the entertainment industry is so cruel. Xiaoling was silent for a long time, and then she breathed out softly, so, it is imperative to find a scandal partner for me. Lin Yunan snapped his fingers, there is nothing more wonderful than this time. It's more appropriate to take risks. This time, their theme is speed dating between men and women. To be precise, it's the men's season. The 3 male stars they invited are all well known, and more importantly, they all have some connections with you. When he said this, Xiaoling also became interested. Who is there? Zheng Qinhao, Rong Ping, Bai Murong. As expected, they are all old acquaintances. What a coincidence. Isn't it? Lin Yunan raised his lips slightly, but only at this moment did a truly joyful smile appear on his face. 2 singing kings and 1 movie king, no matter who you have a spark with, they will always have a charm for you. A big improvement. Have all 3 of them decided? Zheng Qinhao and Rong Ping have already agreed. Bai Murong said that they will wait and see the actress before deciding. Bai Murong will agree. Li Lei interrupted. Oh, Lin Yunan glanced at him. The man in front of him was Bai Murong's big boss, and his words could replace Bai Murong's own will. Li Lei didn't explain much and directly called Bai Murong's agent and asked him to free up the king's schedule. Well, Li Lei has selfish motives. If he really wants to participate in this show and engage in speed dating between men and women, he also hopes to have his own artist watch the scene to prevent his little Ling from being abducted. After he finished the phone call, Lin Yunan's expression softened a little, and the look he looked at Big Boss Li was no longer as cold as before. It seems that it is beneficial to let the big boss come in to visit the class. Well, from now on, we can treat him as a non-staff handyman. Lin Yunan, who used the big boss very smoothly, thought silently. Then, the candidates for the 3 male stars have been determined, Lin Yunan said, because the 3 of them are of too high a level, so the remuneration is naturally high, and there is not much budget left to allocate to female stars. Female stars, we can't invite any big names here, and in order to reflect the theme of My God Takes Me on an Adventure, the producers plan to invite only new female stars who have debuted within 3 years. The combination of a young actress and a male idol is really refreshing. But why would those 3 male gods be willing? Xiaoling asked her doubts. In this variety show, the earning potential of a young actress is obvious, being able to play opposite male idols, or even being rumored to be involved in scandals, will greatly increase her net worth. But, what about the 3 kings and movie kings? Are you not afraid of lowering your status by acting opposite a new actress? End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 294. Chapter 294, The Difficulties of Best Actor. Rongda. Lin Yunan thinks this is normal. Everyone has their own reasons, he said. First of all, the program team paid these male stars a lot of money. In terms of big name treatment, Bizarre Adventure is famous for being good. Then let's talk about an individual, Zheng Qinhao. He is a veteran king with a hardcore style. The female fans who like him are all in their 30s. If he doesn't attract new fans, he will become obsolete sooner or later. Xiaoling nodded. This is the tragedy of the kings and queens of heaven. After reaching the top, if you don't take good care of it, it will go downhill if you are not careful. Being read but not read at all is even scarier than not being read at all. Back when she was in the Emperor, she remembered that Chu Chen mentioned in a casual chat that Zheng Qinhao's style was more aesthetically pleasing to older people. But Chu Chen also joked that she, Xiaoling, killed both men and women, old and young, and she still had many years to accumulate and become the soul and classic of an era. But what about Zheng Qinhao? If you don't transform, you will become old. This is indeed his problem, Xiaoling said. Lin Yunan smiled, so, I don't recommend you to speed date with him. Among the 3 male stars, he is not the best. Compared with the evil prince like Bai Murong and the gentle elder brother like Rongping, he is not very good. Great competitiveness. Moreover, you are now on the rise, and it is still unclear whether his transformation will be successful. Even if it seems that he is favoring you now, what will happen in a few years when people recall this past? I think you have bad taste. How can you fall in love with such an outdated man? He looked like he was in control of everything, so Xiaoling couldn't help but argue with him. Every star will be outdated, she said, but for example Leslie Cheung, even so many years after his death, is still a classic. Well, the same goes for the Queen Xiaoling. She did not forget to give her previous life a small compliment. Lin Yunan said, believe me, Zheng Qinhao is far from the potential of those 2. What potential? Xiaoling was curious. Die Young. Xiaoling. Li Lei, on the other hand, swept away his depressed mood and burst into laughter. Xiaoling glared at him, and Li Lei quickly smiled. This is indeed a potential, ha ha ha. He laughed, but he could understand Lin Yunan's thoughts very well, and explained to Xiaoling, do you know what is the most embarrassing thing in the world? Beauty has been like a famous general since ancient times, and the world is not allowed to grow old. Yes, it is young years. Die young. Whether Leslie Cheung or Xiaoling, they died in their most glorious years, and the best part of them will always be left in the hearts of fans. They are lucky and have not yet become disgusted with their fans. Sometimes, because we haven't seen enough, we still have nostalgia and reluctance, so they can live in people's hearts forever and become eternal classics. Xiaoling doesn't quite agree with this statement. Honestly, she became a classic of the times just because she died early. There are still a few superstars who have lived to be 100 years old, she retorted, unconvinced. That's even rarer than rare this time. It was Lin Yunan who spoke up. Xiaoling, I hope you live a long life, be popular all your life, and that when you die, you can still make a lot of money at your funeral. Li Lei looked at him fiercely. Why did you die first? Lin Yunan, Xiaoling sighed, are these two finished? Lin Yunan silently changed the subject. Anyway, I hope you will be famous for a lifetime and become a classic of the times. When you die, my sons and grandsons can continue to make a fortune relying on your reputation. Why are you staring? The last few words, this word was directed at Li Lei. This way, if your Li family goes bankrupt, you and her children can survive on her legacy. Double insurance, do you understand? Li Lei was completely speechless this time, and his mood was very complicated. On the one hand, he was very happy that Lin Yunan recognized that he and Xiaoling would grow old together and have children. On the other hand, this way of recognition was so special. He hardly knew what facial expressions to put on. Lin Yunan lowered his head and calculated on his notebook. Xiaoling, you were born to be a star. As long as you are careful and hardworking, and have a little more luck, even if you don't succeed when you are young, you will still be a classic of the times when you are old. There is no problem. But what about Zheng Qinhao? He is not worthy of you. He is on the decline now. He will be forgotten and abandoned after becoming a hit. Then who do you think I should choose? Xiaoling asked. Bai Murong. Wrong Ping. Choose Bai Murong, Li Lei said. At the same time, Lin Yunan said, my suggestion is Wrong Ping. Li Lei looked at Lin Yunan with an unfriendly expression. How come this agent is always against him? Lin Yunan turned a blind eye and focused on his own analysis. Bai Murong? He is too carefree. There are not 10 or 8 but 4 or 5 actresses he has had affairs with in a year. I have counted how quickly he changes girlfriends and changes clothes. Just as fast. Although his female fans accept this and think it is a symbol of his masculine charm, but on the other hand, it is harmful to the female star who can only keep Bai Murong for 3 months. Oh, this is how they laughed at his ex-girlfriend Hua Xiangrong. This is indeed not a good reputation. Even Li Lei frowned slightly. Lin Yunan gave him a mocking look. Now, do you still want Xiaoling to speed date with him? The big boss of Tianyi. I don't want to do it at all. Li Lei's heart is broken. What he wants to do most now is to deduct Bai Murong's salary. If Bai Murong hadn't been so gorgeous, this wonderful adventure would have been much safer and more perfect. Unlike now, he could only watch helplessly as Xiaoling chose an unfamiliar man. What was his name? Rongping? You better have a good reason why you chose Rongping, Li Lei gritted his teeth and said. Rongping's purpose for participating in this show is the same as ours, Bai Murong said calmly. Rongda, the best actor, has been keeping a clean mind since his debut for more than 10 years and has never had any scandals with actresses. Now there are rumors outside that he is gay. This rumor is getting worse and he is not very happy and wants to do something to prove his sexual orientation. It doesn't matter if you are gay, Xiaoling said. Anyway, the world is very open now. Some girls like their male idols to be gay. There are only a few who can withstand this kind of pressure in this regard. Lin Yunan quite sympathizes with Rongping. Maybe it was the increasing number of love letters from male fans that finally made him unbearable. Haha, Xiaoling didn't expect this and laughed. Okay, so, we will choose this one who urgently needs to prove that we are heterosexual. Lin Yunan said, yes. Of course, this is just my preliminary plan. Whether it is feasible or not, I need to discuss it with Rongping's agent Jimmy. In fact, many female stars are very interested in this show, and the show team is in a dilemma at the early stage. If you can get Rongping's approval, it will be much easier for you to be selected. In other words, even if she wants to participate in this show, the program team may not be able to take a liking to her. Xiaoling is very melancholy. What is going on? It's been a miserable life. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 295. Chapter 295. Which actresses? What are the current competitors? Li Lei asked. Lin Yunan said, 2 actresses have been confirmed, Luo Luo from Emperor and Zhou Yangxiu from Pegasus Media. Lolo. Xiaoling was a little surprised, that Luo Luo who lives with me, Luo Luo has been very busy these days and has been on location. The 2 of them haven't had much conversation. Xiaoling didn't even know that she had taken this job. Variety show. Yes, that's the Luo Luo who lives with you. Lin Yunan said that he had done enough homework before proposing this project to Xiaoling. Luo Luo takes the lively and cute route, which is considered his favorite among variety shows. That kind of girl doesn't have any airs, doesn't show off, and is able to lower her face and lower her figure when encountering any funny scenes. You know, many women refuse to shoot many scenes out of concern for their image. Yes, Yaling agreed. There was no obstacle for Luo Luo in this regard. She was very close to the people, just like the girl next door who can be seen everywhere on the street. No matter what weird things she did, she would not violate the rules or do anything wrong. So many complaints about some high-maintenance actresses. It is very appropriate to choose Luo Luo. What about Zhou Yangxiu? She asked. Lin Yunan said, Zhou Yangxiu is a newly debuted TV star, and she just won the Best New Actor award. Her type is a bit similar to yours, with a cold temperament and an independent temperament, although she is the cold and glamorous type, while you are the cold and arrogant type. But in general the difference is not very big. The tricky thing is that because she has already been selected, the program team is not very willing to ask for you. It is not good to have 2 actresses with similar types in the same program. Phenomenon. The coincidence rate is too high. If she were from the program team, she wouldn't make this choice. Do you need me to solve this matter? Li Lei asked. In this circle, behind the scenes casting requires more than just strength. In many cases, connections are also the key to victory or defeat. Lin Yunan looked at him. Zhou Yangxiu's backstage is not strong. If you take action, it will be easy. However, it is overqualified and there is no airtight wall in the world. If this happens often, it will not be good for Xiaoling's reputation. Li Lei's knife should be used on the edge, and it should be used at critical moments to catch people by surprise. There is no reason to use a trump card for such trivial matters. So, you plan to do it yourself? Li Lei asked. We did it with Xiaoling, Lin Yunan corrected, turning to look at Xiaoling. When the film is finished, come to a dinner party with me. I'll introduce you to the producer of the Bizarre Adventure program. Is this an interview? Xiaoling asked. Lin Yunan smiled, forget it. There is no formal audition for this show. The producer has seen you and thinks you are suitable, so it is okay. What you have to do now is to make him feel that it is worthwhile to use you and give you the 3rd spot, or the worst thing is to let him squeeze Zhou Yangxiu out for you and let you take Zhou Yangxiu's place. Actually, both of them mean the same thing, right? Xiaoling said. Wrong. Unexpectedly, Lin Yunan began to hum again, and his sense of superiority in IQ emerged again. These 2 things are absolutely different. You can say that you got the 3rd place based on your strength. Knock out Zhou Yangxiu, it may not be good for your reputation in the circle in the future. It will lead to enmity and hatred, do you understand? How many artists who have worked so their own have already regarded her as an alien because of the scandal between her and Li Lei? Why, they are all working so their own, but she can get on a high branch and go through the back door so effortlessly. Soaring into the sky. In fact, Xiaoling did not live a very labor-saving life, but those who are also artists would never think so. This is also the reason why she was hated by people in her previous life. Other artists did not regard her as the same kind at all. Her support made them despair and allowed them to vent all their dissatisfaction and resentment on her. What Lin Yunan considered for her was her reputation in the industry. This kind of thing may seem useless, but it may decide life or death at some point. Xiaoling is very grateful. She is glad that she has found such a reliable agent, and she trusts Feng Kun's vision more and more. Then it's decided, Lin Yunan said, after we finish work here in the evening, you and I will go see the producer. Li Lei, you have to go back alone. By the way, you can't come to visit the team again, nor can you. I often meet with Xiaoling. Before filming Bizarre Adventure, Xiaoling needs a period of cleansing, that is, clean and without any scandals, understand? Li Lei understands that only after a period of cleanliness, news of a new relationship will be natural. Otherwise, a reporter just photographed them together yesterday, and tomorrow there is a man next to her. What is this? However, Big Boss Li was very unwilling. How could he, his real boyfriend, no, his real suitor, lose to the fake scandal target? I will be careful, he bargained with Lin Yunan. I won't come to visit the class, but I will still pick up Xiaoling and date her. If even this is prohibited, then there is no need to do the fake scandal with Rong Ping. This is his limit. Lin Yunan frowned and looked at Xiaoling. Xiaoling also felt that Li Lei was a bit arbitrary and couldn't help but say, this is not something you can decide unilaterally. More importantly, it was her business, and she could decide it for herself. Li Lei's expression was a little sad. Xiaoling's heart softened and she thought for a while, okay. You can pick me up and drop me off, or you can invite me to dinner. However, you can't do it as often as this time, and you have to be careful not to be photographed by the media. Okay, she didn't want to after losing him. We are still trying to figure out how to get along with him. There is always a way to make them last for a long time, which requires them to work together. Li Lei heard the meaning of her words, and his originally gloomy expression cleared up. Okay, he responded with a smile. The matter was resolved smoothly, and that night, Lin Yunan took Xiaoling and had a meal with the producers of Bizarre Adventure. The producer is a very professional middle-aged man who is very satisfied with Xiaoling's conditions in all aspects. I heard that this girl is very cooperative, and all the staff who have worked with her have praised her, and there will never be any situation like taking a job. This is very important for a show that has to coordinate many big-name stars and actresses, which means that the trouble is reduced by 1/6. Even better, she has a connection with the 3 male stars who participated in the show. She competed in the Xingyun Song Festival with Zheng Qinhao, made a movie with Rong Ping, and both came from Tianyi training camp with Bai Murong, topic full degree. However, there is indeed a problem with Zhou Yangxiu. It would be too boring for 2 actresses with similar temperaments and cold temperament to appear in the same program. Let me think about it again, the producer said. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 296. Chapter 296. Be nice to him. Finish the meal. Xiaoling still followed her own pace and did whatever she had to do, without any anxiety about waiting for the result. Lin Yunan was very satisfied with his good psychological quality. I thought you would be anxious and worried about this result. Xiaoling smiled slightly. I have done everything I should do, and what happens next is beyond my control. You will always get what you deserve, and if you can't get it, I can only say that it hasn't touched me that much. Lin Yunan looked at her for a long time. I have to admit, she's right. She has already met the producer, and her strength is there. The next thing is the behind-the-scenes game. She is not good at it, so she will give it to him. Whether he can win this show or not has become Lin Yunan's business. The girl in front of him has nothing to do but is in trouble. If Lin Yunan can't get it, she can even use Li Lei's connections to get it. Even the bizarre adventure program team would not fail to give Li Lei some face. However, judging from the current conversation, it is clear that she does not intend to use this relationship, or in other words, a mere bizarre adventure program has not moved her to the point of using any means necessary. That's playing against the top male god. Lin Yunan shook his head. He didn't know what this girl was thinking, but he admired her calmness and vision. Her goal is to become a diva. In addition to singing skills, there are many other factors that will determine success or failure. Fortunately, she seems to have already possessed many superior qualities. Xiaoling knows nothing about Lin Yunan's evaluation. Her trouble lies with Li Lei. In the past few days, for her cleaning period, Li Lei began to avoid suspicion and stopped picking up and dropping off frequently. Sometimes after recording a whole day's announcements, I get in the car and can't see him, and I feel empty. The lunch boxes at the filming site were not tasty either, and she began to miss his craftsmanship. Habit is a terrible thing. Even Luoluo wailed after returning home, "No way, I worked hard to finish shooting the location just to eat the food cooked by the boss, and you actually told me that he will never come again." Luoluo went crazy. He is the driving force behind me eating the unpalatable box lunches on location every day. Xiaoling smiled bitterly and comforted her, "Be patient, sooner or later we have to get used to eating by ourselves." On the contrary, it was Luoluo who raised his head and looked at her strangely. "What's wrong?" "I'm talking about you." Luoluo shook his head. "Do you really care about Boss Li? He is so good to you and obviously wants to be with you forever. Even if his family objects, even I can see that he will definitely. It's not just for fun. If it's just for fun, just send people flowers, clothes, jewelry, real estate certificates, and spend money without thinking. As for being so careful, giving away 3 meals a day in different ways?" Luoluo looked at Xiaoling seriously. "There are not many good men like him, so you have to catch him quickly. Otherwise, be careful of others kidnapping him. You are not used to eating by yourself. You have to adapt to eating with him for the rest of your life as soon as possible." Xiaoling. Well, she really hasn't thought about this issue. Would you like to eat with him for the rest of your life? So long, so long. She was not sure. We are people from two different worlds. Her tone was a little low. She was too small to have an equal relationship with a powerful man, so she left Tianyi and tried to face him from an independent position. But in reality, she has no confidence. Even if she is trying hard to maintain this relationship, she has no confidence. Perhaps one day, if the Li family headquarters makes another statement, they will end in disgrace again. Don't you think that he should be with someone who is the right match? For example, her chest felt tight. "Gu Lin." "Which Gu Lin?" Luoluo responded. "Oh, you mean the eldest lady of the Gu family. Are she really in a good relationship with Boss Li?" "I can't see. Luoluo is definitely a good Chinese bestie. She is born to help her friends analyze their love troubles. In the past, whether in Tianyi training camp or Emperor training camp, she helped analyze a lot for her roommates. Now when she meets Xiaoling, she is very handy. It is said that they are childhood sweethearts. Tell me, if you want to call me, you will call me already. If you don't call, you won't call. Boss Li doesn't like her. It's that simple." Luoluo looked at Xiaoling and emphasized his tone. "Believe me, Boss Li likes you, and you like him too. Do you like him? That's why I want to be with him forever, and that's why I want to hold on to this warm sunshine and never let go." However, the eternity was so long that she could not see the end. Unexpectedly, I thought of an old song, wishing that I could grow old overnight and never be separated. Suddenly, it seemed to be a true reflection of her mood. "Xiaoling, you have to work harder." Luoluo finished the simple dinner with a sad face. feeling that even if it was for the delicious love bento, he should help Boss Lee. I think Boss Lee is here alone, chasing you and taking care of you. Do you know it will be very hard for him? You have to give some response, especially now. She paused. Are you going to join me in a wonderful adventure? This kind of speed dating game can easily be self-defeating and cause misunderstandings. Before you start, you must give strict instructions. Boss is confident. Xiaoling was stunned for a moment. How did you know that I wanted to participate in this game? The list has been finalized, Luoluo said. Why, don't you know? The actress is you, me, Zhou Yangxiu. By the way, I haven't congratulated you yet. As she said that, she raised a big smile. Generally speaking, the casting stage is very confidential until the person is selected. Just like Lin Yunan, I only know that the confirmed members are Luoluo and Zhou Yangxiu, but I don't know exactly who is competing with Xiaoling for the third list. The program team generally does not disclose this information. On the one hand, it is to prevent any changes, and on the other hand, it is to show mercy to each other. Otherwise, wouldn't the people who are screened out be very embarrassed? Do you want to see each other again in the future? Of course, if Lin Yunan is willing to inquire and get more information, it is not completely impossible to find out. This is similar to commercial espionage, only slightly more difficult. Xiaoling didn't know if Lin Yunan had inquired. Anyway, he had never told her these things. She even didn't know that she was hired, or she only found out now from Luoluo. The news can't be wrong, right? She doubted. Luoluo said, how is it possible? My agent only got the final list before I went home and told me. Hasn't your agent told you yet? Otherwise, you call him and ask. It's a sure thing. It's over. Xiaoling thought for a while and dialed Lin Yunan's number. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 297. Chapter 297 Undercurrent. Lin Yunan readily confirmed the news to her on the phone. He also said, I have arranged a public relations team, and this news will be spread as quickly as possible. The female star candidates are you, Luoluo and Zhou Yangxiu. Xiaoling didn't hear anything wrong and hung up the phone. What she didn't know was how much gambling was hidden behind this matter. Lin Yunan went to Li Lei without telling her, and asked Li Lei to issue an order to Bai Murong, asking Bai Murong to recommend Xiaoling to the program team. Bai Murong told the program team that if Xiaoling participated, he would participate. If Xiaoling did not participate, he would also reject the program. At this point, the program team planned to replace Zhou Yangxiu with Xiaoling. But this is not the result Lin Yunan wants. Even if Zhou Yangxiu is replaced in the end, Xiaoling cannot bear this bad reputation. He then found Rong Ping's agent Jimmy and asked them to tell the program crew that they were valued of Zhou Yangxiu. In other words, in this show, best actor Rong De tends to be paired with Zhou Yangxiu. Originally, Jimmy did not agree. However, Lin Yunan said, believe me, Zhou Yangxiu will be replaced. Compared with Bai Murong, Xiaoling and I are more inclined to pair up with Rong Ping. However, in the process of replacing Zhou Yangxiu, Xiaoling must be completely removed. Net. Jimmy is a veteran, and he quickly understood what he meant. He showed a meaningful smile, as expected of our Dongyu chief agent. He is very scheming, huh? Lin Yunan also smiled. Deal. Make a deal. Compared to Zhou Yangxiu, Jimmy hopes that Rong Ping and Xiaoling will get along. First of all, Zhou Yangxiu's appearance is too gorgeous, and her and Rong Ping's styles are completely different. It's hard to feel right when they stand together. Secondly, most of the male stars Zhou Yangxiu had dated were second and third tier artists, and they were just a step behind Xiaoling in terms of quality. Although Xiaoling was kicked out by the Li family, Tianyi had spared no effort to clear her name, and, News in the industry spread faster than the outside world, and many people knew that Li Lei was still pursuing Xiaoling. In the future, if Li Lei and Xiaoling can be together, it will be of great benefit to Rongping, who has had scandals with Xiaoling. At least in terms of worth, the rumored boyfriend of a rich young lady is much more stylish than the rumored boyfriend of a second and third-tier actor's wife. So, Jimmy and Rongping were happy to help Xiaoling. They told the program team that they preferred to pair up with Zhou Yangxiu. In this way, the program team will not immediately replace Zhou Yangxiu. After the list of the 3 actresses is announced, if there are any changes, no one will think that Xiaoling has squeezed out anyone. Although, for Zhou Yangxiu, it is much better to be quietly replaced now than to be removed from the list in embarrassment after the list is announced. But this circle is so cruel. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. No one will consider the feelings of the competitors. Lin Yunan operated all this without any psychological barriers and did not tell Xiaoling. It's not that he thinks she is too innocent and wants to protect her, but, Lin Yunan thinks that with Xia Xiaoling's IQ, it is too troublesome to explain this matter, and it is better to do less than to do more. Xia Xiaoling, a classmate who was considered to have a low IQ, continued to live a busy and fulfilling life. In her spare time, she would always think of what Luo said to make Li Lei have confidence in her. After much thought, she didn't know how to make Big Boss Li feel confident, so she couldn't help but ask Luo for advice. Luo has been on good terms with Li Lei recently. He asked Mr. Boss for recipes for many of his favorite dishes, and is trying to cook them at home. Xiaoling looked at the busy little figure in the kitchen and was a little amused. It's really okay for a celebrity to be like you. How can you cook by yourself? Most celebrities are very busy. Cooking is such a difficult task. It's rare to do it yourself, and usually you hire an assistant or a nanny to do it for you. Luo originally had a nanny, but then Boss Li came too frequently. In addition, Xiaoling and she were both busy with their own affairs and didn't have much time to eat at home, so they resigned. Occasionally, when necessary, their respective assistants will prepare some food. Now it's good, Luo doesn't even have an assistant, he just follows Li Lei's bad habits and cooks by himself. Luo was busy washing and chopping vegetables, and answered Xiaoling in a clear voice, I plan to work in the entertainment industry for a few years, then retire from the world, marry a male god, and make soup with my hands. Haha, Xiaoling smiled, what a lofty ideal. Marry a male god, she couldn't help but tease Luo, do you have any that you like? This season of the wonderful adventure male god is a good opportunity. Come on, that kind of show is just a show. Luo took it very seriously, your boss Li is the real male god. Xiaoling, you must take good care of it and don't let anyone rob you of you. Do you understand? Yes, Xiaoling responded with a smile, what do you think I should do to make him confident? Luo put down the spatula, turned around, and looked at her with some curiosity and surprise, have you finally enlightened? Do you know how to take good care of your male idol? Come on, I will teach you. She stopped cooking. She wiped her hands carelessly on her apron and came to Xiaoling with a pair of shining eyes, tell me, what does your fierce male idol usually like? He likes. Xiaoling thought for a while, pets, food, and sports and fitness. Unexpectedly, she remembered the trip to Nanshan when they first met. The two of them rode horses and bridles together. In the spring when peach blossoms were in full bloom, the breeze was warm. When can I go horse riding with him again? However, in the short term, I won't be able to do any exercise or fitness. It's the cleansing period, Xiaoling said with some frustration. Yes, Luo was also worried. This is the bad thing about being a star. If you are not careful, you will be photographed by the paparazzi. Especially since Xiaoling is becoming popular now, the number of paparazzi watching over her will only increase. Many. Pet? Give him a cat, Luo looked at the sleeping and snoring Mao Duanzi lying at Xiaoling's feet. Xiaoling, he has a large pet at home. Sending Mao Tuanzi to accompany Mao. That's called cat abuse, right? Luo frowned, fine food won't work either. He's a much better cook than you. I don't recommend you destroy his stomach. Xiaoling smiled bitterly, remembering the only time she cooked for Li Lei. She was so lucky that he didn't get food poisoning that time, so she wouldn't try it a second time. What should we do? Luo was also confused, otherwise. She looked Xiaoling up and down. The Xiaoling in front of her was wearing an elegant water-red silk satin nightgown. It was obviously an extremely voluptuous color. It contrasted with her fair skin and delicate face, giving her a pure and charming look. Her long crow-green hair was held loosely, with strands hanging down and falling on her shoulders. Because she and Luo were at home, her nightgown was draped a little carelessly, with the skirt gathered casually, revealing her delicate collarbone. The more Luo looked at her, the more beautiful she became and couldn't help but whistle. What are you doing? Xiaoling subconsciously covered her chest. Xiaoling, you are so beautiful. Luo put his hands on his chin in a dreamy manner. If I were a man, I would also fall in love with you. Why don't you commit yourself to Boss Li? A man and a woman are alone, and the thunder from the sky moves the earth. Fire, wow. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 298. Chapter 298 True and False. What are you thinking about? Xiaoling couldn't laugh or cry, and knocked on her head. You've been working on it for a long time, and now you have such a bad idea. Why is this a bad idea? Luo was unconvinced. I am giving you my advice seriously and sincerely. Just play, be good. Xiaoling dismissed her like a kitten or puppy. However, Luo's words lingered in Xiaoling's heart. Will she commit herself to her? Unexpectedly, she recalled his brutal violation of her at the Li family headquarters. It was not pleasant at all, even painful and frightening. She didn't know why she continued to be with Li Lei. He was not perfect, and he didn't treat her as a human being when he got angry. Although it only happened occasionally with a small probability, it left a deep shadow in her heart. She felt that she was crazy and possessed, which was why she was reluctant to break up with him and even wanted to get back together. With such a tangled mood, she tossed and turned all night long. The next day when I went to Wei Sheyin's recording studio, she was in a very low state of mind. She didn't record even 2 songs before she was scolded so badly that Wei looked at her like she was about to breathe fire. You go to the lounge and wake up. Wei finally couldn't stand it anymore. Go to sleep and come back to me when you wake up. Xiaoling did not dare to talk back and went to the lounge obediently. As soon as he entered the door, he found that there was another person inside. Warm off-white space, plush carpets and modular sofas, with the faint fragrance of wood leaves floating in the air. Li Lei fell asleep in the silence, his beautiful eyes gently closed, his slender legs hanging slightly from the sofa to the carpet, his clothes slightly open, in a very leisurely posture. Wei didn't even tell her that he was coming too. These days, it is not easy for the two of them to meet each other. This recording studio is a place where they can hang out. Therefore, Li Lei liked to wait for her here, and every time he came, he would always wait for her to finish recording and have a cup of tea together, or eat some snacks made by himself, and chat. Xiaoling looked at his sleeping face. Then I remembered that he had been cooperating with her schedule during this period of time. As for his own affairs, he should be much busier and more important than her, but he never mentioned it in front of her. Xiaoling's eyes fell all the way down and landed on the laptop in his hand. It was a very thin and portable model, and the screen was slightly bright. She didn't look at it, but helped him close it and put it away. She turned around and took out a blanket from the locker and gently covered him. He moved and woke up. Having just woken up, there was a fleeting sharpness in his eyes. After seeing the person in front of him clearly, he relaxed lazily. Xiaoling, he called her in a magnetic voice with a charming smile on his face. She was a little annoyed that she had disturbed his rest. "You go back to sleep," she said, "and leave me alone." "You ended early today," he said. In the past, she would finish recording at Wei Shaiyin's house very late. Li Lei looked at the time and found that the situation was different today. "I'm not in good condition today," Xiaoling didn't hide it from him. "Wei asked me to rest for a while before recording." "Want to take a nap?" Come here." His voice became even more magnetic and charming. Xiaoling walked up to him without knowing why, and he put her arms into his arms. She was caught off guard and let out a low cry, feeling like she was falling into a warm and solid embrace. His breath brushed against the tips of her hair, his breathing rose and fell, and his chest pressed against her back. Her body tensed for a moment, and the things that had troubled her last night came to mind again, about those unbearable memories at the Li family headquarters. Sleep together. He didn't notice her strangeness, with a lazy smile in his voice. The sofa was very spacious. He leaned inward and actually accommodated her. He pulled out the blanket covering her body, just enough to wrap her petite body. She did not move. On the one hand, his arm was as solid as iron and she couldn't break free. On the other hand, she was also struggling with contradictions in her heart. Like him and want to be with him. Also afraid of those violent things. "What's wrong?" Soon, he noticed the stiffness of her body. Xiaoling bit her lip and said nothing. Li Lei turned her over and looked at her with his beautiful deep eyes. "Xiaoling, you have something on your mind." She lowered her eyes and avoided his eyes. What to say? She couldn't tell him about her worries and worries about sex. She didn't even know how to broach such a topic. Except for that one time, he was extremely kind to her the rest of the time. But what happened that time was like a bone spur. She originally thought it wouldn't hurt. However, even if she touched it accidentally, it was heart-burning and painful. "What's going on?" Looking at her expression, Li Lei's voice became concerned. "Xiaoling, are you worried?" Unable to avoid it, she started talking in a panic. "It's okay, it's just, you know, we will be filming Bizarre Adventure soon. I have never filmed a similar program before, so I am a little nervous." "Is that so?" Li Lei smiled. "It's just acting, don't take it too seriously." She looked at him cautiously. "You do not mind?" "What do you mind?" "A few days ago, Luoluo suggested that I give you more confidence. She said that it is easy for people to misunderstand when filming this kind of program. Rumors about Pei. About Pei Zion." She realized she had said too much and shut up. "Yes, about Pei Zion." Although he only got a little bit of gossipy information, he was so jealous that he even didn't hesitate to violate her. Now, this show is even more blatantly paired. Is he really not going crazy? "That's different." Li Lei's voice deepened slightly. He originally thought that she would never mention that person's name in front of him. "You treat Pei Zion differently from those three male stars." "You dare to say that the relationship between you and Pei Zion is innocent? It's just my boring speculation and nonsense." Li Lei stared at her closely. Xiaoling couldn't speak. He was right, that was different. Pei Zion was always hurt in her heart. They all knew that she cared about that man, so Li Lei also cared about her. "I'm not that bored and would be jealous of Rongping and the others," Li Lei said slowly, "but Xiaoling, Pei Zion can't do that." She turned her head slightly and said nothing. Her attitude made him feel depressed. "You are hiding something from me," he thought of her lie about how she invited Lin Yunan some time ago. "Xiaoling, why don't you tell me the truth? You can trust me more. No matter what happens, I will stand by on your side. What's going on with you and Pei Zion?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Sci-fi. Chapter 299. Chapter 299 Temporary Substitution. Xiaoling turned her head and said, I don't want to lie to you. They were lying on their sides on the sofa. Although the sofa was spacious, it still seemed cramped for the two of them to squeeze together. Xiaoling and Li Lei were so close that they could hear each other's long breathing. He held her hand slightly tighter and said nothing. Don't want to lie to him. Li Lei knew very well that not long ago, she told a big lie about Lin Yunan. He really wanted to turn on her face and ask her why. For a moment, he wanted to tear her mask of peace to pieces and see her true expression hidden under the mask. The restlessness in my heart just started, and I heard her continue speaking in a low voice, You are so good to me, and I really want to be with you forever, but you have your problems, and I also have mine, Li Lei, just like you are going to face your family alone, that is your battlefield, and I can't help you. On my battlefield, you can't help me. Even if you say it, it will only increase your troubles. Her voice was soft, with a hint of weakness, which made his heart soften all of a sudden. I can help you, he said softly but stubbornly. She shook her head in her arms, like a very tired baby bird. He was worried and distressed. You didn't even tell me, how do you know I can't help? Don't make me make up a lie. The man behind her was silent for a long time, but he just held her tighter. Go to sleep, he said. She couldn't sleep in his arms. She tensed her back and was ready for a fight, but she didn't expect him to let her go so lightly. She didn't know whether this was a good thing or a bad thing. Originally, she started this conversation in the hope of giving him a little more confidence before the wonderful adventure began, but unfortunately it seemed to have the opposite effect. She felt that she was really stupid. I didn't get a good rest, and I was still out of shape when I recorded songs in the afternoon. Wei Shaiyin scolded her from head to toe, including her newly appointed manager and a disturbing big boss in the lounge, but couldn't think of a better idea, so he let her go angrily. You don't have to come tomorrow, I'll come whenever you're in a good mood. No, I'll still come over tomorrow to record the song. Now, the only recording studio here is a safe haven, and she can meet Li Lei inconspicuously. Wei Shaiyin saw through her intention at a glance and sneered, Come tomorrow? Okay, if the recording fails tomorrow, you will never come again. Xiaoling burst into tears. Li Lei also burst into tears. He finally understood what she meant by you can't help. Although recording songs and Peixian's matter were two different things, he felt like he could only watch from the side but could do nothing. It's the same. He did not dare to disturb her anymore, burying the doubts in his heart deeper and acting as if nothing had happened. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, he smiled softly, reassuring her, just concentrate on doing your own work, I understand. When this period of time is over. His voice became softer, Little Ling, be my girlfriend again. In your home. Grandpa has stopped causing trouble for you, haven't you noticed? I'm chasing you now, do you think he really doesn't know? But by choosing to turn a blind eye, he has acquiesced to your existence. He finally revealed some good news to her, although it was mostly to reassure her. In fact, what she didn't know was that it was because the amulet tied their fates together. Mr. Li could never kill his grandson. However, pursuit is one thing, being together is another. She could not enter the Li family's door. Li Lei knew this very well. But he didn't intend to bring these troubles to her. We will get married, have children, and grow old together, he vowed forever. On such an afternoon, in the golden and clear sunshine, he made this promise in front of the large floor-to-ceiling windows in the recording studio. His seemingly bright mood infected her and made her smile too. Should I wait until this period is over? I will consider it, Luoluo said to give him confidence. However, when Xiaoling racked her brains and couldn't come up with a good solution, she realized that all she needed was a promise to satisfy him. The happiness he wanted was too simple, so simple that it made her feel guilty and sad. With such a mood, she returned home. Luoluo and Mao Tuanzi rushed forward together, leaving her overwhelmed. Xiaoling, Xiaoling. Meow, meow, meow. Don't pounce, Xiaoling hurriedly caught Mao Tuanzi first. In the past few days, since Li Lei didn't come, she could only count on her to bring back some delicious fish for Mao Dumpling when she went to the recording studio every now and then. Damn it, this kitten smelled her scent and knew that she brought back the food it had been craving for today, so it was so enthusiastic. But, what is Luoluo for? Xiaoling peeled off the octopus-like furry dumplings and Luoluo opened the dried fish she brought back, mixed cat food for the furry dumplings, and asked Luoluo, "What's wrong?" "Oh my god, big news," Luoluo was very excited. "Did you know that the female star selection for Bizarre Adventure has changed?" "Oh," Xiaoling's expression became more serious. She turned back and looked at Luoluo inquiringly. It couldn't be that she or Luoluo had been replaced, right? "It's not us, don't worry." Luoluo was still frightened, but she was very happy. "It's Zhou Yangxiu. Zhou Yangxiu's place has been replaced by someone else. It's too tragic. You know, she has done several releases for this wonderful adventure." "Yes, she and the three male idols have communicated on many occasions overtly and secretly that they are calling. It's so shameful to be kicked out this time. Is not that right? This kind of thing is more harmful to female stars than male stars, not to mention that Zhou Yangxiu is so high profile. What's going on?" After all, it was a show she was going to participate in, so Xiaoling became concerned. Who kicked out Zhou Yangxiu? Who was the actress who came in? Yes. Luoluo's face fell. Xiaoling had an ominous premonition in her heart. Who is it? It's Xiaoyu. Luoluo's voice was low, but then he became excited and angry. Isn't she just seeing the high ratings of this show? She eagerly wants to participate. It is said that she originally competed with you for the third place. She had a quota, but she was defeated by you. She was determined to get a quota, so she squeezed out Zhou Yangxiu. Luoluo is from the Emperor and has better information about the Emperor than the outside world. He has long known that Xiaoyu intends to participate in this show. However, later the third name was assigned to Xiaoling, and she forgot to mention it to Xiaoling. Xiaoling's expression was a little complicated. It turned out that she stepped on Xiaoyu again without knowing it. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 300. Chapter 300. Best Actor Rong Ping. In a flash, I became worried again, performing on the same stage as Xiaoyu. If it were a competitive program, such as the last Xingyun song concert, she would not be afraid of Xiaoyu. However, this time was different. It was a speed dating program. Xiaoling had never participated in it before, and she was a little at a loss. In addition, as a good sister of hers, she was always very scheming. She was really worried about encountering any unexpected situations again. Even Luoluo can't count on her. Luoluo is more innocent than her. "What's the matter, Xiaoling?" Luoluo looked at her face and asked. Xiaoling shook her head and smiled. "It's nothing, I'm a little tired after recording songs for a day." She didn't want to bother Luoluo with these unfounded things. In any case, the list has been finalized, and there is nothing to say now. Nothing can be done. Eat a meal somewhat absent-mindedly. When I got up the next day, the TV was rarely on in the living room. Luoluo didn't have to catch up with the announcement today and had a rare rest. She was reading entertainment news at home with a piece of toast in her mouth. The news is broadcasting the casting news for this wonderful adventure, The sudden change of the program team surprised everyone. We believe that Xiaoyu must have her own merits and be able to beat Zhou Yangxiu to get this job location. Xiaoling stopped and stood by the sofa to watch the news with Luoluo. In front of the TV camera, Xiaoyu still looked delicate, with a pale face and a faint smile. When asked by reporters about this program, she said, "I was also surprised. Originally, I planned to go to France next month to shoot the MV for my new single, but the program team of Bizarre Adventure asked * later. I talked with my agent for a long time and finally finalized the cooperation, so I will try my best to spare time." She spoke lightly, as if the show crew was begging her to join the show. The reporter asked a sharp question, "Some people say that you rejected Zhou Yangxiu's quota." Xiaoyu's pale and frail face revealed a look of innocence and grievance. "How could it be?" He seemed a little hurt. "From the beginning to the end, no one mentioned anything about Sister Zhou to me. I think Sister Zhou must have her own reasons for quitting, and I am grateful to her for helping me." What a white lotus! Xiaoling, who knew Xiaoyu's nature well, sneered. Luoluo turned to look at her. "Do you also think Xiaoyu is lying?" Whether she knew it or not, Xiaoling said, "She got the advantage and behaved." Luoluo, "You have to be careful about her when filming the show." Luoluo nodded vigorously, stopped eating toast, and looked at Xiaoling seriously. "Xiaoling, this is what I want to tell you. Do you still remember the last Xingyuan song concert? It was because of Xiaoyu that she dropped from a good starting position to the last one. You have to be careful about her, Xiaoyu." Luoluo tilted his head and thought for a while, but didn't know how to describe it. "Anyway, I don't want to look so weak." "I know." Xiaoling rubbed her head. She should be lucky that the person Xiaoyu squeezed out was Zhou Yangxiu, not Luoluo. Zhou Yangxiu received a lot of ridicule after the news of the substitution came out. After all, she was young and couldn't help complaining on Weibo that God was unfair, but she was considered to be insinuating Xiaoyu. Many of Xiaoyu's idiot fans attacked her. For a while, her Weibo it was full of cynicism, and even the dark history and ugly photos before debut were dug up. God is indeed unfair. It was Xiaoyu who obviously stole someone else's spot, but he trampled under his feet. Xiaoling didn't spend too much time to express her feelings. The tight schedule made her so busy that she couldn't breathe. In order to release her first solo album by the end of the year, her recording work with Wei Shayin took up most of her time. As well as the promotional advertisements launched every season for Star Wings perfume, some magazine interviews and street photos. She felt it was a miracle that she had not died of overwork. On this day, Lin Yunan took her to a styling studio. SF New World is the one Rongping usually uses. The show was about to be recorded, and she and Rongping needed to determine each other's dressing styles. They needed to have a sense of perfection, but they couldn't show off their marks as soon as they started, which would make them look fake. Best actor Rongda has a busier schedule than her, so he took time out of his busy schedule to try on clothes. "I'm wearing this shirt with Versace's latest autumn and winter jacket." He pointed to several luxury men's clothing catalogs and quickly made a choice. Matching old clothes with new clothes would not look too deliberate and nouveau-riche, but at the same time very fashionable. Fashion taste. The stylist was used to working with Rongping, so he nodded in agreement. "It suits your image very well." Then he looked at Xiaoling inquiringly, "Where's Miss Yet? Do you have a favorite outfit?" She has only been in the industry for a short period of time. At the beginning, she only wore niche design brands, which were very cost-effective. To put it bluntly, they were cheap. Later, he gradually became more famous, and with the gifts from Lilei, he also had a few nice clothes, but overall they were still not as luxurious as Rongping. When the stylist looked over, she smiled slightly. "I also wear old clothes with new clothes. There is no need to prepare anything specifically to cater to Brother Rong. That would appear too eager for quick success." She motioned to Wei Wei to open the photo album and dig out some of her street photos. The styling: follow your daily style without making too many changes. In some details, such as small accessories or the color of shoelaces, echo wrong. Her daily dressing style is actually not far different from Rongping's, with a low-key sophistication everywhere. The stylist she brought exchanged some opinions with Rongping's stylist, and they put their heads together to study, and made some fine-tuning on their clothing matching, and they quickly reached an agreement. "You guys really look like a couple," one of the stylists said with a smile. "It's easy to match them together." Rongping looked at Xiaoling and smiled politely. Xiaoling also smiled, and suddenly felt that the future filming days were not as scary as she imagined. At least her rumored boyfriend Rongping seemed to be a person who was not difficult to get along with. The clothing style has been discussed, and Rongping's manager Jimmy suggested, "Let's have dinner together, since the two of them are going to have a scandal in the next few months. Even if it is false, the necessary tacit understanding is not enough. Less after all, it is still easy to tell whether a man and a woman are calling each other, and whether there is any ambiguous feelings. Even if you are just pretending, you have to pretend to be like it. It is not without benefit to cultivate the relationship in advance." Xiaoling was a little impatient with this kind of social interaction. Just as she was about to refuse, Lin Yunan had already agreed on her behalf. Hence, the words she was about to blurt out were swallowed hard. On the contrary, it was Rongping who glanced at her as if unintentionally. The four of them got into Rongping's private car, a crystal gray Cadillac, which was steady and showed a hint of nobility. End of this chapter.